Well, I'm glad you're here watching my video on YouTube. The fact is, I don't know how long this will be up, since YouTube has decided to start censoring me and pulling down my videos. But don't worry, you can watch this video on rumble.com/randpaul, where I post all of my content. Love to see you over at rumble.com.
Flopping lies. We've been saying for months that the less favored doctor should be fired. One of the biggest vocal people on that note has been none other than Republican Senator Rand Paul, who joins us now. Senator, thank you for joining us. Let's start with what you said with Axios over the weekend. You said he needs to be fired. We saw Senator Ted Cruz asking Attorney General Merrick Garland if there's an investigation into Fauci. Is it not time for this man to go?
Well, you know, last week the NIH finally admitted that the research that was being done in Wuhan lab that was funded by NIH, that Dr. Fauci has been trying to escape from, that yes, they did do gain-of-function research. They took an unknown virus, made it more dangerous. They created a virus that doesn't exist in nature, and they discovered it was more dangerous after they combined it with another virus. This is the very definition of gain-of-function research. Fauci continues to skirt the issue, continues to say, well, we didn't know in advance, so we're not going to call it gain-of-function research because we didn't know in advance this would happen. Well, that's precisely what an experiment is. You're trying to find out whether something's more dangerous and why we shouldn't be doing this experiment. We've even had scientists, there's a scientist from MIT who wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post, not a conservative outlet, and said that basically this is a kind of experimentation that could lead to the end of a civilization. That's a pretty harsh statement. And yet we still have Fauci saying, oh, we need to keep funding the research in lab. That's in China. That's where the coronaviruses are. And I think that's crazy. And I think that shows such a lack of judgment that, yes, Fauci ought to be immediately fired.
He should be fired for that. He should be fired for lying under oath, lying to you, calling you a liar, Senator, when we know now for a fact he was the one who was lying. Senator, the other crazy, wacky clown show that's going on in the White House lately, we saw this story today that the feds are now saying that passports will not only be for men or women. Now they're going to add another category called X in your U.S. passport. What are your thoughts on that?
Bizarre beyond belief. I'm not sure most people at home even knows what that means. We have now new categories of humans we're not aware of.
Yeah.
It's hard to make sense of it.
And one that's really hitting our notes over here. Let's play a soundbite from Joe Rogan, who's lately come out as probably one of the most sensible people we know in media altogether. Take a listen to what he had to say about Pete Buttigieg. Remember, this is the Secretary of Transportation during an absolute national emergency with our supply chain. He's taking a few months off for paternity leave. Take a listen to Joe Rogan.
What's crazy is that Pete Buttigieg during this whole time is on paternity leave. And you just want to go, listen, man, I understand it's hard to raise a child, but isn't that supposed to be for the person who gave birth? This idea that both parents should get maternity and paternity leave at the same time is a little weird.
So, Senator, your thoughts on the guy who's really responsible for transportation in the United States with the supply chain backing up? Americans are paying, double for gas, and so he's taking paternity leave off. What are your thoughts on this?
I think my other sort of response is that it's more general. Having paternity or maternity leave is something that's evolved as we've gotten a richer country. Many private employers offer it. And so I think that's a good thing. But when you look at government, I mean, we wouldn't expect the president to take grand paternity leave, and leave the presidency for a month. There are certain jobs that we do need you to be around. There are quite a few problems. I've heard there's a few cargo ships off the coast of California. So, yeah, I think that within reason, people need to be at their jobs. But I think that we shouldn't completely dispel the fact that as a country that's evolved and gotten richer, we do have more of these perks that come, but they only come from a wealthy nation. You don't get things like this in sub-Saharan Africa or India. You get this only as capitalism develops great wealth and companies compete for workers, they allow this. But in government service, I think it may have gotten excessive in this case.
And Senator, while we have you here, there's a Senate panel throwing questions at Merrick Garland, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and the story keeps coming back to why Merrick Garland would you agree to use the FBI to investigate parents for potential domestic terrorism charges. You, Senator, I know this has to be right up your alley, using the FBI for things that they use it for currently, and now expanding that to innocent parents without a warrant. Without a warrant, this got to bother you, yes, sir?
Yeah, without question, it is very worrisome when the National School Board is asking the Attorney General of the United States to use the full power of the federal government and the Patriot Act, which was really done not observing our constitutional rights, to go after citizens that are unhappy. I mean, what happened in Loudoun County with the rape of a girl and then being swept under the rug by the school board and then arresting the father for being unhappy? I mean, I think this may have a big influence on the election in Virginia, because I think there's a lot of independent moms or moms that may even think that they lean kind of liberal or maybe Democrat. They're saying, gosh, my girls go to that school. I want them to be safe at school. And shouldn't the school's job be to get rid of creeps and sociopaths and rapists from the school and not move them to another school district? So I think the outrage over this and Garland's response, I think, may well be a big factor in what happens in Virginia's governor race next week.
And boy, will that be a bellwether to the United States if somehow Youngkin pulls off a win over McAuliffe, who's a heavy favorite. I don't care what the polls say. He's a heavy favorite in that's become a very blue state. Senator Rand Paul, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.